All right, so I just want to make sure that we have everything covered for the test. On the test, it is possible to see exponents, and in our notes for 4.2, there weren't any examples that had exponents in them, so I'm going to show you two problems, one of each type. If you look at the directions, it says solve the following systems algebraically, and that means that we pretty much have free reign to do it using whatever method we want. So I'm gonna do one of each. I'll do one using substitution. I'll do one using elimination. So I guess for the first one, I'll do the elimination since I like that one better anyways. The first thing that I notice is that my stuff's not lined up. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem so it's all lined up. So it's negative 2x squared plus 2y equals negative 2x minus 12. And then my second problem, I want the y's all lined up. So y equals x minus 3. Okay, so our goal is to actually make the y's go away. That's what I said at the very end of the notes. I told you guys to write it down. If you ever have exponents, typically they're going to be on your x's. So if you attack this problem, you want to try to make the y's go away. So if you're looking at these y's, we have to ask ourselves, what do we need to multiply it by to get it to cancel? So this is my favorite actually because this is a 1. And we have, it's very easy to change a 1 into anything we need it to be. So in order for this to cancel, that needs to be a negative 2. So that means we just multiply the entire problem by negative 2. So the new problem says negative 2y equals negative 2x plus 6. And in the first problem, I'm going to try to scoot it over. And you know what? I'll just probably take this one and scoot it over so everything is lined up. So then what we'll do, actually, let me move this guy out of the way. We'll work with him later. So I'm going to line this up just a little bit better. So I'll scoot this over, line up the equal signs, and now I'll combine. Okay, so now if I combine this, I have negative 2x squared. These cross out equals negative 4x minus 6. Now, anytime we're working with a problem that has exponents, we need to get all of the exponents to one side. Matter of fact, we need to get everything to one side so the entire problem is equal to 0. And we never want to have our x squared positive just because it creates problems for us when we try to factor. So I'm going to take this 2x squared and add it so it's on the other side. So we end up with this. 0 equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. So the first thing when it comes to factoring is you want to try to take out the GCF. This has a GCF of 2. So I pull it out, and this is now x squared minus 2x minus 3. Now this problem, in the side of the parentheses, it is simple ABC. So in a simple ABC, we take the last number and we make the list of factors, and we try to make it equal to negative 2. So it has to be plus 1 minus 3. Now the nice thing about a simple ABC is we can go directly into the parentheses with that. So x plus 1 and x minus 3, and then we still have the 2 out in front. Now since there's 2 x's, we're going to get 2 answers. It looks like x plus 1 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. I don't really care about the 2 because the 2 doesn't have an x on it. We need answers for x's only. So I'm going to end up with negative 1 as one of them, and I'm going to end up with positive 3 as the second one. Now just like before, we have to plug them in if we want to find the second answer, or the second half of our answers. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of erase this so I can have some space to work up here. We want to find y's, and this equation is actually set up perfectly to help us find y. So if I have x equals negative 1 and I want to find y, I have y equals negative 1 minus 3. So that means y equals negative 4. So one of the solutions is negative 1, negative 4. The second answer that we have is x equals 3. So I plug it into the same problem again, and I have 3 take away 3. So that means y is equal to 0. So the second answer, second solution is 3, 0. And all this means is that we have a parabola and we have a line. So anytime you have like a parabola and a line, there is the chance that it could hit twice. Excuse me, almost choked right there. So that's what's happening. That's why we have two answers by the time we're done. So these are our two solutions. If you wanted to check it, you can always go back and plug it in, or you can solve the first one for y and type it into your calculator and use the G-solve button to see where they cross. So that was using the elimination method. The next one, I'll do the substitution method. So in the substitution method, we look for the letter that's been solved for, or we try to solve for the letter if it's not already alone. The nice thing is this problem is already solved. It says y equals. So I'm going to put that stuff into this problem. So I'm going to rewrite this problem as 2x plus, parentheses, x minus 1 squared plus 1. Oh, I almost forgot the last part. Equals 2. I was wondering what was going on there. It looked kind of funny. So we have to simplify all of this. X minus 1 squared means x minus 1, x minus 1. So we have to FOIL this out. So this is x squared minus 1x minus 1x plus 1. I'll bring everything else down. So I have the 2x in front, the plus 1 at the end, and then the equals 2 over here. So now it's just a bunch of combining like terms. I have 2x minus 1x minus 1x. So I think that actually cancels. I have 1 plus 1 is 2. So I'm left with x squared plus 2 equals 2. So the next part of this is to try to figure out what method we need to use to solve this. Now normally when we have exponents, we would try to factor. But see, the thing is, we only factor if there's two different types of x's. If we have an x squared and then an x to the first. This doesn't have that. So we can actually just solve for x using the square root method. So we can subtract 2 from both sides. So that means x squared equals 0. And then we're going to square root both sides. So that means x equals 0. Now typically we would put plus and minus. This is the only time when we don't because 0 doesn't have a sign. So now if I want to find my other answer or the other half of my answer, I just go into the problem that has the box in it and I plug it in. So I'll go up here, I'll put in 0. 0 take away 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. And then positive 1 plus 1 means that y equals 2. So that means our graph crosses at 0, 2. So that's all there is to doing problems that have exponents. Again, you can do it either way. This problem, it was probably better to do substitution because of the parentheses. But if you wanted to do the elimination, you would have to multiply out the parentheses first before you could do that. So that way you can line everything up. And then you can multiply and get stuff to cancel. Regardless, we would end up with the same answer anyways. So that's how you do it anytime there's exponents.